He took the first one in race 1 and turned it in at 25 points. Gate drops here. Fevre, much cleaner start for him. Seawer up the inside, but it's Prado once again. Foxhole shot number 5 for the Spaniard. Fevre emerges in second. Guillot third on the Honda. Fourth is Maxim Renault. Seawer and Van Donnick are next. But Fevre, Renault, Guillot, Seawer, Van Donnick and Fernandez there, finding his way past Van Donnick. Hurling's in around about 9th or 10th place at the bottom of the hill. He too makes it through turn 1 safely this time around. Edging out, Benoit Paturel at the top of the hill there. Hurling's in 9th as he exits the turn at the bottom of the hill. Guillot running into trouble, loses out to Fernandez. And Van Donnick. So the number 92 already in dire straits. Frantic action on this opening lap here. There's Hurling just going through. There's Watson, the tall figure in blue for Beta. A few positions ahead of his teammate Watson in 13th. Adam Sterry behind him on the 811 on the Sarholz KTM. Fevre and Renault fighting over second place at the moment. Jorge Prado knows he needs a good start, needs to break free. Oh, getting squeezed at the top of the hill. That was a bit cheeky. Fevre closing the door on the uphill step. Not sure that Renault will take too kindly to that. And you know what? He responds with a move that takes him from 3rd to 2nd. He now has clear track ahead of him. Well, apart from the number 61, of course. But that would be for the lead if he can find his way onto the rear wheel in the pass. But give Prado a clear track. Guess what? He picks it up, runs with it for as long as he can. If he can turn it into a win, great. Hasn't gone 1-1 this year, though. He has not taken the top step of the podium this year either. 3rd at the first 2 rounds, 2nd at round 3 a week ago. Valentin Guillot around the outside of Brent Van Donnick. Moves into 5th place. Definitely got the bit between his teeth this year, hasn't he? The Swiss rider. Then you got Hurlings, then Seawer, then Koldenhoff in there. 7th, 8th and 9th. Paturel 10th, ahead of the standing construct Honda of Brian Bogus, the lone standing construct Honda this weekend. No Pauls Jonas. Big crash last week in Switzerland, deemed unfit to race. Hopefully see him back in Portugal, fingers crossed. Get well soon, PJ. Van Donnick under attack from Jeffrey Hurlings, Red Bull KTM. The JM Honda rider, number 32. Just finished outside of the points in race 1, having fallen at turn 1. Not sure if it was body or bike that was more battered and bruised that prevented him from going further. Oh, wicked kick there into the turn for Jeffrey Hurlings. Back end higher than it needed to be. Couldn't brake effectively enough, couldn't then make the pass. Fevre dropping down below in 3rd position. Fernandez behind him for Team HRC. That gap about 1.3 seconds. Fernandez, though, under attack from a hard-charging Valentin Guillot. Here he is, number 92. Ah, almost folds the front. It's going to be a real test for Hurlings. He parks it up the bank, finds his way past the 32 of Van Donnick, and moves cleanly into 6th place. How long will it be before Jeremy Seawer also finds his way by there? Oh, slams the bank. Does the Monster Energy Yamaha rider, number 91, closest to us now in the camo gear. His teammate behind him, Koldenhoff. Risky move that, trying to cut back there, because the rider ahead tends to do the same as well, so it just makes your exit approach even tighter. See 1 or 2 riders get caught out with that. Losing the front after being tagged, going down. Seawer, though, lucky to stay up. although he didn't tag the rear wheel. It was close. Prado, under the watchful eye of Maxime Renault. Race 1 was Jorge Prado from Maxime Renault, Ruben Fernandez. Race 2 at the moment, Prado, Renault, Fevre and Fernandez. Your podium would be Prado, Renault, Fernandez, if it stays like that, as it is now. But are we going to see back-to-back victories for Maxime Renault? Overall winner a week ago in Switzerland with a second and a first. Or will it be Jorge Prado for the first time this season? Last win came last year in Portugal, his only Grand Prix victory, round 4. So almost a year, if he can bring it home. Sailing over the Liqui-Moly triple. 24 minutes plus 2 laps remain. These two about 3 seconds clear of Romain Fevre's factory Kawasaki. Coming into view there. Will he have something in store later on? Take a look at some lowlights. Bottom of the hill. Oh, Van Donnick out of the seat and almost down. That was Seawer going by. And then Koldenhoff finding his way past Van Donnick as well. So Prado continues to lead, but with 23 minutes plus 2 laps to go, there is a long way to go to determine the outcome of the MXGP of Trentino. This was Hurlings up the inside of Guillaume. That put him up into 5th place just a moment ago. Just looking down the leaderboard here, Guadagnini up to 9th, whereas Ferrato, he's in 17th place. So the home fans clearly cheering for Guadagnini, who's got Koldenhoff ahead of him. Meanwhile, at the head of the field, Jorge Prado and Maxime Renault, separated by not a lot. Prado, the fastest man on track last time around, a 50.7 compared to a 51.0. But it's Fevre who just goes through Sector 1, the fastest in the race so far. What you can't see from our side view of the track, as opposed to looking straight on as the riders come towards you or go away from you. You'll see how big, how brutal those holes are in some places, especially on those downhills. Fevre, green Kawasaki there in 3rd on the monster jump. 4th is Fernandez, then Hurlings in 5th. Guillaume 6th. That's going to be good enough for 6 overall, one better than his home Grand Prix a week ago. Will be the Honda SR Motor Blues Ship to Cycle riders' best result of the campaign so far. Oh, we've got medical flags, somebody's down. As we swing back this way. So that's just the other side of the step down. It's very easy to catch the edge there and go out the front door. So hopefully that rider okay. All of a sudden, all eyes back on these two, Prado and Renault. Less than a second in it as they cross the line that time around. 0.8 of a second between Jorge Prado and Maxime Renault as they hit the line at the end of lap 4. We go into lap 5. Prado continues to lead. It's the MXGP of Trentino in Italy at the Il Ciclamino circuit in Trentino, just outside of Pietramarata, 10 miles away from Arco di Trento. about 20 minutes away from the north shores of Lake Garda. We are in northern Italy, and all of a sudden, Roman Febvre getting closer as well. That inside line, very, very enduro-like now. Febvre up on the pegs and having to hold his leg high. Was there a slight mistake at the bottom of the hill there from Herlings, number 84, who's in fifth? He's got Ruben Fernandez right there ahead of him for Team HRC, who is the lone Honda rider, of course. No Tim Geiser. Geiser recovering from a broken femur, picked up here in an Italian Championship International race mid-February. Get well soon, Tiga. Herlings just starting to look a little bit more like his old self. He's had some battles around here. 5 times he stood on the top step of the podium around this particular part of the world. 6 podiums in total, because he also has a second place finish here. On paper, at least, possibly the favourite. But given the fact that he was off a bike for 14 months and slowly raced himself into full fitness and maybe full confidence mode, maybe no surprise also with that first turn mishap that he won't be visiting the podium today as it stands right now. Prado, all of a sudden, 1.7 seconds clear, so good lap time, and the fastest lap of the race for the Red Bull Gas rider, 1:49.8 compared to the 50.7. Has he broken the resolve of Maxime Renault, or can the Frenchman, a former winner around here himself, a mistake there on landing for Renault. I was going to say, can he respond? Well, he responds in the wrong way, getting it wrong. Watch this here, lands in a horrible hole there, and just collapses the suspension. Couldn't get the distance over the jump, and that's allowed Roman Febvre to come back into play. He's now there in third, closing in on Renault. The gap was 2 seconds. It's going to be slightly less than that, maybe, this time around, and that is all the sort of, I don't know, what the advantage that Febvre would need, if you like. Just to see that Yamaha coming back towards him might just spur him on a little bit, give him another 2 or 3 tenths a lap. Jorge Prado, the master of the foxhole shot. Here's how he did it. The red plate holder about 12 gates over on the outside of Febvre, sweeps in across the front of the number 3. Relentless with those hole shots, isn't he? 5 now for the season for the Red Bull Gas rider. Maxime Renault has responded well. Got it back down to 1.4 seconds. Top of the hill, Herlings has passed Fernandez, moved into 4th place. So Herlings now up into 4th at the end of lap 6. A little bit of daylight as well, finally, for the Bullet. Jeffrey Herlings, clear track ahead of him as he pops down beneath the Trentino banner into turn 2. Gets that rear tyre. Most of these guys using scoops because of the amount of soft dirt that's out on the track today. Also, given how hard it is, how hard and slick it is, what do you give up most, the track performance or the performance out of the start? Watch this here, inside left, middle rut, gets on the gas early and squeezes Fernandez to the outside, takes over that 4th place. Gap between Herlings and Febvre now, 3.6 seconds. Herlings putting his fastest lap in last time around, 1:50.8, only a 10th quicker than the flying Frenchman. And the rider that he battled right the way down to the wire, the final race of the year in 2021, not a million miles away from here, south at Mantova. They were tied on points going into the final race of the year, weren't they? Herlings found his way into the lead. A couple of laps later, Febvre looped out. And it was Herlings who celebrated his 5th world title instead of Febvre with a potential 2nd title. Keep an eye on the gaps then, shall we? 2.7 now between him and Febvre, who's just the other side of the city jump here. Only 1.2 between Prado and Renault. That will determine the overall outcome of the Grand Prix as well. Stays like this, Prado and Renault go 1-1, 2-2. Reverse those roles. It will be Renault on the top step of the podium with a 2-1 to Prado's 1-2. So a real challenge for Prado here, because so far this year, a first and a sixth at the opening 2 rounds, first and a third in Switzerland a week ago. May have extended his championship lead and maintained that red plate, but so far not won a Grand Prix in that process. Can he, for the first time, win with a double race victory in 2023? When he won in Portugal last year, it was 1-2. Renault getting closer. See, bounces his way over the double into the waves, goes a long way round, gets a little bit cross-rutted, a little bit untidy there for the Frenchman. Gives back a couple of tenths of a second to the 61, the Spaniard. And the World Championship leader, who drifts his way dangerously through that turn. Could have caught the bank and high-sided, but didn't. Still there on 2 wheels. Front end high for Renault. Couldn't get it stopped, and he's run into a little bit of trouble there, but he manages to pull it back. He is latched right onto the rear wheel of the Spaniard, isn't he? Nothing in it as they hit the line at the end of lap 8. 0.3 of a second. Maxime Renault sensing the opportunity now. He has to take it. Trying everything he can. The whole team getting behind both riders here. But it's Prado who continues to lead with 13 minutes plus 2 laps remaining. Jorge Prado, a 3-time winner around this racetrack here at Trentino. Maxime Renault won here a couple of years ago in MX2. Jeffrey Hurling's up to 3rd. He's found his way past Romain Febvre. Where did he do that? And he's just set the fastest sector 1 of the time of the track and the lap as well, of the race even. So Jeffrey Hurling's now with a bit between his teeth. These two need to step up their game, because on this part of the racetrack, a lap ago, Jeffrey Hurling's found his way past Romain Febvre. Oh! Back end just kicks away, but not as bad as it was going to be, or could have been. These two playing silly buggers now. Through that tight left. Tripping each other up. Going to play into the hands of Hurlings, who's only 3.8 seconds behind these two now. And he's just popping into view for the first time as well. Here's the Red Bull KTM ace. He's coming as well, isn't he? Charging hard. Fastest lap of the race for Jeffrey Hurlings. 1:49.22, 51.5, 51.8 for the two leaders, Prado and Renault. The gap now to 3 seconds. Hurlings is on the move. And he has broken free from Romain Febvre. Siwa up to 6. Jeffrey Hurlings has just turned in the fastest lap of the race, a 1:49.227. He is 1.6 seconds behind Renault, 3.3 off of Prado. The first 3 riders on the same part of the racetrack for the first time this race, but it's Hurlings who is in control. He's in the ascendancy and riding with a real sense of urgency as well. Could be for the podium. Great to see Derek Grubel there as well, former Red Bull technical coordinator, shadowing actually the new technical coordinator. And Louis Voster's the boss man at Monster Energy Yamaha factory MXGP, keeping an eye on his man there, 959. Maxime Renault. We'll do some calculations in a minute, but Hurling's off the podium at the moment on 32 points. Fernandez on 36. Hurlings will move to 34 if he finds his way past the Frenchman. He'll gain 3 more if he finds his way past the Spaniard. 5 points at stake here for the Bullet. But for, what, 9 laps, Maxime Renault has cut a frustrated figure as he tries to find his way past Prado. Prado slowing things up now, and Hurling's all over the back of him. So the second half of the race here, Prado just starting to fade and tire, and it's not playing into the hands of Maxime Renault because he cannot find his way past the Spaniard, and that has allowed Hurlings to close in, and he does not really pay too much thought and attention to what's going on ahead of him, as long as he can find his way to the rear wheel, as Renault just a little bit out of shape in second place, trying desperately to find his way past the Spaniard. Here's Hurlings, doesn't need 2 invites. Remember what happened in Sardinia when he went around the outside of Fevre and Renault in the last 10 minutes. Ruben Fernandez now 6th place. See, we're up to 5th, but we focus on this battle for the lead as Hurlings goes through into 2nd. Jumps down into the turn, prevents the re-attack from the Frenchman. 8 minutes to go. Hurlings from out of nowhere, the last 2 laps, has joined the party. He is now in 2nd place. Renault, though, fighting back immediately. He's a little bit out of shape, and Hurlings takes over the lead. He's revisited Sardinia, 2 riders in the same lap to lead the race this time. Last time in Sardinia, it was for 2nd position in the race and for the overall Grand Prix classification. But the floodgates opening up now. Prado, no reply to Hurlings. He does have a reply, but he's tripping up Maxime Renault behind him. And Renault does make the pass for 2nd. But Hurlings is away with this one at the moment, unless the Frenchman can have something to say about it. Cat and mouse. And Prado just slowing things up. And in the end, it was to his own detriment, because now he finds himself in 3rd place, and he is already 3.2 seconds behind the new leader, Jeffrey Hurlings. On all of that, on lap 11. Puts him 3rd. Right, Fernandez down the lead. Oh, this is through the final turn, just like he did in race 1 when he fell from 2nd to 3rd. The HRC rider now in 7th place, and Koldenhoff found his way through as well. So Koldenhoff 6, Fernandez 7, Van Donning 8. Jeffrey Hurlings, Red Bull KTM Factory Racing. His last race win in race 2. The year that he won the championship in Mantova for the 5th time in 2021. Can he seal the deal here with his first victory of the season in 2023? Six and a half minutes plus 2 to go then. Things just calming down ever so slightly. Hurlings 3.6 seconds clear of Maxime Renault. Jorge Prado 3rd. Prado would win the Grand Prix if it stays like this. He would be on 45, Renault 44, and Hurlings 37. Romain Fevre is in 4th place at the moment. 4 seconds behind is Romain Fevre, Kawasaki Factory Racing, and he is on 1:52 lap time pace. Prado's just gone over the line, 53.2 this time around, 52.6, so eating away at that 3rd place, 4.6 seconds. We'll keep an eye on that. Romain Fevre, number 3, Kawasaki Racing Team MXGP, getting the message, 61 you can. That means you can pass the guy ahead of you, number 61, Jorge Prado. And that would determine the overall step of the podium, because Prado on 45, Maxime Renault 44. That will stay the same unless Febvre can get onto the wheels of Prado and find himself in third place. Gap 4.6 seconds at the moment. All the first intermediate splits very, very similar. Hurlings, Renault, Prado, Febvre, 30.3, 30.6, 30.6 and 30.7. Anxious looks on the faces down there in pit lane. They're watching what we're watching. They're also watching lap times. Intermediate sectors, man down just on the brow of the hill there. No problems for Hurlings though as he goes through. He is 4.2 seconds clear now of Maxime Renault. Might be relying on a favour from fellow Frenchman Romain Febvre. Not sure if they're the best of friends or not. Not sure how much time they've spent in each other's company. But from fellow countrymen, you never know. 13 laps complete. 13 laps in the books. Jeffrey Hurlings continues to lead by 4.6 seconds now. He's got Maxime Renault behind him, Jorge Prado, and then Romain Febvre. 2.7 seconds now, the gap between Febvre and Prado. If Febvre can find his way past Prado, it determines the outcome of the Grand Prix as to who wins it. At the moment, it's Prado, who is with a first and a third on 45 points, and Renault second on 44 with 2 seconds, 2 lots of 22. Hurlings third, 37 points. Hurlings looking for his third visit to the podium. Second overall in Argentina, a winner, Sardinia, with 2 second-place finishes. Just missed out a week ago in Switzerland. Here's Mattia Guadagnini. He's in 11th place at the moment, about 1.5 seconds behind Brian Bogers on the standing construct Honda. So the Red Bull Gas Gas rider not able to conjure up the magic that got him to 4th place in race 1. Bogers there in the blue, just ahead of him at the bottom of the hill. 189 just ahead of them. Valentin Guillot, who has been pretty impressive this weekend. He's going to be 8th overall though. It looked like it was going to be 6th for a time, but just losing a couple positions in the last few laps. Rider in the background, Calvin Valanderen, who is in 12th for Gerben van Venrooy Yamaha. And then Lupino and Watson, the 2 MRT Beta Racing guys. 13th and 14th. It'll be 12th and 13th overall for those 2. How is this gap looking? 2.5 seconds now between Febvre in 4th and Prado in 3rd. And now going back out to more than 3 seconds. So Febvre may have just decided, you know what, 3rd place, you can keep it, Jorge. And if that's the case, Prado will win the Grand Prix. Takes a long look across there as Romain Febvre wants to know what's going on ahead of him. Traffic ahead of the Frenchman. There's Prado, just the other side of the corner, look. Gap still 3.4 seconds. Doesn't look it when he goes down the hill there, does it? Again, 30 seconds or thereabouts for the top 4 riders in Sector 1. 30.2 Hurlings in Sector 2. Maxime Renault goes through 30.2 as well, which is just the other side of the hill there. 30.0 and 29.6. Hovering around 3 seconds again between Prado and Febvre here. 3.006. 2-lap board. Will it go out this time around? Yes or no? Because we're looking at that battle there. 12 seconds behind Jeffrey Hurlings. Yeah, 35 seconds. Going to be 3 laps to go. Not going to take that amount of time to get from there to the finish line. So it might be a tense final 3 laps. for the potential winner of the Grand Prix. So 18 seconds on the clock as Herlings goes through. Red Bull KTM Factory Racing. Missed 14 months. Top flight racing throughout the whole of the 2022 season. So far this year, hasn't finished lower than a 6th place finish. 4th and 2nd at the opening round. 2 seconds in Sardinia, a 6th and a 4th when he was just a little bit off the pace, maybe arm pump, things like that. But the first turn crash didn't help his cause today. But he did battle on to come through to 9th. And Herlings showing that with a good start, he can still challenge for race wins, and this will be a massive confidence boost as we go into the weekend free ahead of Portugal. Here's the story of his race so far. So Jeffrey Herlings then, this was his pass on Ruben Fernandez. That put him into 4th place. He then found his way past Renault. And then Jorge Prado. And in the space of a few corners, he'd gone from 3rd to 1st. Herlings taking over the lead on lap 11. Bob Buchanan there. Goggle Bob, Goggle Tech. Probably the happiest down there. Takes care of Herlings' goggles. This is Goggle Man. 2 laps to go. And Renault is being caught again. So Prado getting the hurry up. And looking to go after and spring a surprise attack on Maxime Renault. Doesn't want to leave anything to chance. That gap, 1.5 seconds. Fevre, though, too far adrift now. He's been cut loose by Prado, who is free to challenge Maxime Renault in the final 2 laps here for that 2nd place. Doesn't need to pass him for the overall win, but he is the championship leader. You know what? Those 2 extra points might just come in handy later on in the season. As it stands right now, Jorge Prado will be on 201. Maxime Renault on 184. 17 points, that gap. That's how the overall would look. Prado, Renault, Herlings. We've had different podiums every round. Overall, first round, Ruben Fernandez, Jeffrey Herlings, Jorge Prado. Round 2 was Herlings, Koldenhoff and Prado. Round 3 was Renault, Prado and Fevre. And round 4 is going to be Prado, Renault and Herlings. If things stay as they are, of course. Just over a lap to go. Here is Jorge Prado. He's 2.5 seconds behind Maxime Renault, but 4.2 seconds clear of Romain Fevre, the rider that can upset his visit to the top step for the first time in 2023 and the first time in about a year. Herlings goes through to start the final lap. Here's Maxime Renault. 2nd position looks like it's as good as it's going to get for the Monster Energy Yamaha rider. 3rd there coming into view, the Red Bull Gas of Jorge Prado. Did all the hard work in race 1 with his 4th race win of the season. Which also was his 67th career win, by the way. And the Red Bull Gas rider now in charge of his own destiny on this final lap. Got space either side of him. Said he can completely relax, but with Fevre now 6.8 seconds behind, he is definitely, the long look over the shoulder. Doesn't see any green. He might have another look at the end of this next straight through this left-hander. And he may just look across, and if he does, he will not see Febvre. Because Febvre 7 seconds behind now. But Jeffrey Hurlings, his hard charge through the field in race 1 to get him ninth. Didn't make a bad start in race 2. Picked his way through methodically. Found his way into the lead. He will win race 2. It will give him 3rd overall. Just behind Maxime Renaux. But Jorge Prado, it will be, that will stand on the top step of the podium. A couple of corners to go. Up on the pegs, easing his way to the finish line. Jeffrey Hurlings wins race 2. He wins here. The second race in Italy. It's his 189th race win. But Jorge Prado crosses the line to win the Grand Prix. It's his 37th career.